Hello everyone, this is Grace and it is September the 1st, 2021, and we are continuing our study on the moon. Our study on nature and the Bible, and we're taking a look at the moon. So we left off on Matthew 24 verse 29. So let's go ahead and get started. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. Now, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. Of course, the sun being darkened, that's the clouds. The moon shall not give her light. There's not enough mentions of the moon in the New Testament for me to discern whether or not this means it's covered or it doesn't have a light, or hasn't been exposed to the sun in order to, whether it's covered, whether it's withdrawn behind the unseen moon, or there could be a special circumstance where, because it says the sun is darkened, it could be that the moon, if I haven't mentioned it before, I'm not sure because this is take 3. Because the moon is similar to a neon light. It does have to be exposed to the sun in order to shine and give its light. If it's not exposed to the sun for a certain length of time, then it's not going to give any light. So it could be a special circumstance where something different happens and it just doesn't have light. But there's not enough mentions of the moon in the New Testament for me to discern what the circumstances are in regards to this scripture. In regards to the stars falling from heaven. Now, stars in the Bible are also angels, and one of the most famous verses, I guess, is where Jesus says, I saw Satan fall like a star from the sky, like lightning from the sky, or something like that. I think Revelation 9 has a star falls from heaven. But stars throughout the Bible are synonymous with angels. And if you're familiar with the writings, if you're an Adventist, then you're familiar, you may be familiar with the writings of Sister White, where she tells us that the star that the 3 wise men followed, that was actually angels that had come to witness the birth of Jesus, and they stood there in the heavens watching from afar. So when you see stars fall from heaven, you might want to consider that, given the time frame, it could be that the angels are coming down from heaven, or angels are maybe even falling from heaven. This word fall, it doesn't necessarily have to be fall. It can also mean to light. It's the same word used in Revelation 9 verse 1. The first is a reduplicated and contracted form of the second, which occurs only as an alternate in certain tenses, probably akin to 4072, to fly. Though the idea of alighting, to fall literally or figuratively, fall down, or light on. So if you light on something, a fly would light upon the roof. It's not going to fall on the roof. It lights upon the roof. So it could just mean that it's coming down from heaven. In astrology, stars are identified as, what do they call? Wow, it just flew out of my mind. I think they're called asteroids. They're called asteroids. So one has to consider, if they're made similar to the moon, they're made at the same time as the moon, they give light as the moon. If they're made similar to the moon, what's giving them their light? The moon has to have light in order to give light, or it has to be exposed to some form of heat in order to give light. So where's the light coming from? Well, in the Bible, and I'm not going to go over these examples now, we're not talking about stars, but in the Bible, there are examples of the angels who guard the stars. that guard the planets, that guard these things. And with that combined with Sister White, well, I know of one example. I can't think of a lot of them, but given that stars are pretty much synonymous with angels, I think that they get their light from the angels that are assigned to signed over that star. And so when you see the stars fall from heaven, I believe that's what it is. I believe it's the angels coming down from heaven. But since everything is taken literally, if the stars fall, it's the angels that are assigned. They're coming down with the stars. Now the stars, I'm not going to look up this scripture either, but you want to keep in mind that, hold on. You want to keep in mind that the stars are up here. So if they come down, they're coming down this way and that way, and around us. There's no asteroids coming through this area. There's water that separates us. So they're coming down this way, they're coming down that way. They may be falling down, but they're not falling upon us. That's not going to happen. I can't logically see how it can with a layer of water in between us and the stars. If it was just the angels by themselves, of course, we know that they have a way through the waters. But we have to take this literally, as well as we have to consider the biblical aspects of it. So the light comes from the angels. The stars, if they fall literally as stars, they have to stay outside of this area here, and they will fall out. And you will still see them, because the angels that are assigned to them, just because they're falling, they don't stop being assigned to them. Now, the reason why I think it happens like that is because if you look at the order, first the sun is dark, and then the moon does not give its light, and then the stars fall from heaven, and then it says the powers of the heaven are shaken. Were it that the powers of the heaven were shaken, and that caused the sun to be darkened, the moon to not give its light, and the stars to fall from heaven, then it would have been written the other way around. It would have said the heavens were shaken, the sun's darkened, the moon's not going to give its light, so the stars fall from heaven. So all of this happens first. And this is the heavens being shaken. So anyway, that's the way I work that out. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Hold on. There is another scripture. We're going to skip ahead real quick, and we'll come back and look at the waves that talks about the stars. Here we go. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars, for one star differeth from another star in glory. Now, this had moon in here, and that's why I brought it in here. But I left it in here because of the stars. Because if one star differs from another in glory, it's just like people. They're different. They're not just balls of light. And because the angel is the light of the stars. Yeah, the angel and that's why it's synonymous. So where did we leave off here? Hold on. Waves. Okay, so how are the waves caused? The waves are caused, there is, you guys, listen. Everything I do is watched. Every conversation that I have is listened to. Phone call, emails, you name it. Everything is watched. They know everything, right? So there was at one time videos. They may have taken them down because they watch everything that I do, okay? But there was at one time videos online that you could see, and you might still be able to see them. I don't know. They were called how to make water boil with ice or something like that. What they did was they took hot water and put it in a container. And they would put a top on the container and then put some ice on top of that container. And the change in the temperature would literally cause that water to boil as the temperature changed in the water. That's how the moon causes the waves. You have the water in the ocean, it's heated up by the sun. Along comes the moon and the unseen moon or black moon, and it cools down that water. It's contained within that ocean area, and it starts to bubble up as the temperature changes. And that's what causes your waves. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before that great and notable day of the Lord come. Okay, blood moons. Let's look at that. So, one of the things, hold on. One of the things that you will note about the blood moons is that they always occur in the far north or the far south. So when the moon, remember, I hope you saw the first video, because you get a blood moon whenever the sun is behind the moon in the far north. This is why the sun has to rise up in the far north and it has to rise up in the far south before it continues on its downward, again. Okay, so it goes down, it reaches a point, and then it goes up. Now, whether it does it twice a day or once a day, I didn't figure all of that stuff out. You would have never gotten a video if I tried to answer it. If I tried to answer every question, you would have never gotten a video, okay? So I just figured out the basics, okay? So the reason why it has to, at some point, rise itself up in the north and in the south is because it's when it is close to the moon and directly behind it that the atmosphere in between the moon and the sun responds and reacts. Helium reacts to heat. It burns pink and orange. Hydrogen, which is the number one chemical, hydrogen and helium are number one and number two, I think, in space. So hydrogen, it burns blue and purple, maybe, I don't know for sure, but for sure, I'm sure it has something to do with the blue sky, though I didn't look into that. But hydrogen burns, I think it's blue and purple. So you have when it's close to the atmosphere during the eclipse. Hold on, let's one thing at a time. When the sun is directly behind the moon, and that atmosphere is in between those two forces, one cold, one hot, the atmosphere in between reacts and it causes that red burn, it causes that red shade on the moon, okay, because of the atmosphere in between. The eclipse is similar, but I'm going to do one about eclipse, so I'm not going to go into detail. But just suffice it to say now, the moon is behind the sun. The black moon is in front of the sun. The atmosphere is no longer going to be red. It's not red. It's not the helium, because the helium in the atmosphere, has zero. The helium in the black moon has zero reaction to heat. Okay, so it's clear. But the hydrogen that's in the atmosphere is still going to burn blue. So what you're going to see is, if you look directly at the eclipse during the phase where it's being covered, it will look like say if the sun is yellow, then you will have, hold on. if the sun is yellow, and then as the, will I be able to do this? No, because it's behind it. Hold on. Let's move this about a little bit. Okay. As the, here we go. As the unseen moon moves in front of it, it will get whiter and whiter and whiter. And then it will completely cover it. And it will darken it out. So the sky becomes dark because now all of the chemicals and stuff that are behind it, the hydrogen that's behind it, is still burning and reacting and turning blue, and it darkens the sky. But if you look through it through the glass, of course, it's going to black out those chemicals. Now, I haven't worked it out perfectly, but that's the general idea of what's going on there, okay? So you might find some errors in it. Wait until I do the video. I'm not going to correct this, by the way. This is all just trying. I'm just trying to give you an understanding. I'm not trying to explain it to you. Watch the video. That's when you'll get the complete theory. But for now, the red moons, it's when the sun is directly behind the moon. It's close to the moon, and it's close enough to cause a reaction to the chemicals, to the air, not chemicals, to the air and the atmosphere that's in between the two forces. Same thing with the eclipse. They circle each other all the time, but they're so close now that it's causing a reaction in the atmosphere. So anyway, I'm sure I didn't do that justice, but it'll have to do. It'll have to do. So anyway, that's where you get your blood moons from. There is one glory. Oh, I think we're done. We're done with that. Now we get to look at the. Now we get to look at the other moon in more detail, at the planets in more detail, and then we're going to take a look at some planets. You know what? Let's look at the planets first. Hold on. No, we don't need you right now. Let's put you there. And okay, let's look at some of the pictures. Okay, because we've pretty much gone through most things. I don't think we've gone through the seasons. I think that's the only thing that we haven't done is seasons. So you know what? Let's do the seasons, and then we'll come back and look at the pictures. Okay, so and he put down the idolatrous priest whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the high places, in the cities of Judah, and in the places round about Jerusalem, them also that burn incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the hosts of heaven. So another thing that I noticed about this is how these were all grouped together. It's something that it stands out, because if it wasn't grouped together, it would say the sun, the moon, and the stars. Why not burn to the stars? So you see, there has to be some association with these three things. And planets are not associated with the sun and the moon. They're just not. It's the tires that are around the moon that they're burning incense to here. For rain, for good weather, for whatever it is that they're doing. They're praying to the god of the rains or whatever here. So that's why it says planets, because it's associated with the moon. It's the only logical explanation that I could come up with. And then it has the seasons as well, and we have that scripture that says that the moon is given for seasons. If I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in brightness. Hold on. I'm not sure why I have that in there. I'm in the wrong one. Hold on. Okay. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet and their calls and their round tires like the moon. And I put that in there again. Just let's look at it carefully again. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments. It's talking about the ornaments about the feet, about the calls, and their necklaces, about the necklaces. And there was no reason to put moon in here. There was just no reason for it. Unless of course there's, there's a moon. Unless of course there's a necklace around the moon. Canst thou bring forth Mazareth in his seasons, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? So Mazareth, if you look at it, apparently from, in the sense of distinction, some noted constellation, perhaps collectively the zodiac. So we know the moon guides the months for the zodiac. And then it says compare 4208. In the sense of reigning, a constellation that is zodiacal sign, perhaps of affecting the weather. It's the same word as we saw in 2 Kings 4208. And there was another scripture that said, I don't think I put it in this group, that said the month is given for seasons. And canst thou guide, we don't need that part. But anyway, so it brings forth the seasons. Now, we've kind of already touched on that a little bit in the other videos. We know in this video we talked about how the sun revolves around the earth, giving us the days. In the previous videos we talked about how it shines, why it shines longer in some areas and shorter days in other areas, and how the seasons are controlled. As far as I know, science has no explanation for the longer or shorter days. They talk about the longer and shorter days in regards to the north and the south hemisphere, how the axis controls the longer and shorter days, but there's no explanation that I happen to come across. I'm not saying they don't. I've just not come across it explaining why we have longer or shorter days in the summer or winter time. In the summer and winter time. Nothing that I've come across. Only the north and south poles. But that's not to say they don't have it. I haven't looked. Just haven't. Yeah, nothing like that. So anyway, we see the seasons. This is bring forth the rainy season. The rains in its season. Rains, we're not going to go into that in too much detail. But we'll look at the next verses, and then I'll talk about that a little bit. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knoweth his going down. I did put that in there. I'm glad. And he answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? Okay, so fair weather for the sky is red. This red here just means it's sunny. Okay, it's only in these two verses. So they look at the sky and they say it's red, but they know it's bad. They know it's going to be foul weather because it's red and lowering. And we've been around enough to know what's meant by that. You get that muggy air. It's kind of thick. The reason why is because the sun that's there, the invisible moon that's there, it's lowering and it's causing a pressure. So it's just like if you were running an air conditioner in your house. The air would start to get a little bit thicker, a little bit colder. you start to feel that pressure of the cold air around you. And you feel the same way outside. So you can recognize that the circulation of the air is different. You can recognize that the air is different. And it's because you're in a more tightly controlled area, because that moon is over the top of you. It's over the top of you. And it's pressing down the air upon you in a more, and creating a more high pressure area. Okay, that's the best way I can describe it. But since we all live it, you should all be able to understand what I'm saying without a lot of description. Okay, and what you will find also is that if it's like really low, like in the wintertime, and you have that biting cold, the biting cold is coming from the unseen moon, right? But the sun is being magnified by that moon. Similar to what I was saying, the way it would magnify the sun during the time of an eclipse. The sun is being magnified, so it's going to seem really, really sunny outside, and you might be getting more heat from the sun, but the invisible moon is so close down to the earth at that time, because it goes back and forth. The moon moves as well. But it's so close that it's causing the cold and biting weather to have more of effect on you, even with the sun being magnified. All right, so I hope that's clear. I think that's the last verse that I wanted to go over and explain. It is. So let's look at some pictures really quick, and then we'll be done with this. So you have your moon, and then you have the shadow here of the black sun, or black moon, or unseen moon. Again, this is odd. This is probably not real. See, there's no curve there, or it could just be that it's far away and this is close up, and it just looks like it's going straight across, and that's fine. I don't know enough about it to know one way or the other, and since I can't observe, it's a little bit difficult to say everything that's real and unreal when it's that close. Again, you can see the circle here. If that's real, it doesn't look real because it's just so bright, and it's just a little bit too clean. There's so much fake stuff on YouTube and online. So many lies. This is probably fake too. It's nice and clean. If you look, everything is so perfectly clean, but it is possible, and it's fine. It's a good replication, and it's feasible. This is good. I like this. I can't really tell if this is possible, but if this is going out like that and around, that's not possible. Not according to the theory that I'm giving. This is perfect here. You have the full moon, and here you have it, just a little bit of coverage in each one until it's almost completely covered. And then, of course, you have the red moon. Same thing here. Very good. I like these. Very realistic. Very realistic. Is this the moon? Hold on. Oh no, that's a lunar eclipse. So that's a red. Yeah, it's supposed to be a moon. If it's a lunar eclipse, it's supposed to be the moon. So, yeah, okay, we're good with this then. One thing I will note with this is that they tell us that the moon moves 12 times faster than the sun, I believe. That's not possible with this scenario here. If you take a look at it, you have what is believed to be the sun or a red moon. So the sun is going to be behind the moon. And then you have the dark moon, or the unseen moon. It's moving in, it's moving in, it's moving in, right? Now, if this is the sun or the moon or whatever it is, it should just move in across and cover this bottom portion altogether. But instead, you have a little bit of a lifting up. It doesn't cover all of the bottom here. There's a little tiny portion of it that's lifted up, and the same here. I suppose, no, maybe not. I guess it could just be small and moving across. Okay, I'll take it back. I'm sorry. This is fine. This is fine. Sorry to confuse you. Just forget what I said. This is impossible. This can't be done. This is all Photoshop. This is, I believe this is an accurate photo of the moon. You can see the lines of light shooting out from behind the unseen moon, which is covering it up. That's a good Photoshop. If it is Photoshop, I don't know, but it's good. Same thing here. I like that one. Again, you can see the lines coming. It even has a little bit of a reflection there, so that's probably real. And you can see the lines there as well, where you can see that the moon is there. It's just being covered up by an object. And I like that one. That's good. Oh, here is the red moons. So you can see the sun is behind it here. Well, let's just see. You have the moon, and it's dark here, and it's being covered up by the black moon, right? But then it goes into the red moon. So the sun is behind it, and it goes further into it, and then it starts to pass it. And or the moon is going in the other direction, because I changed my mind about the moon not being faster than the sun. It could very well be true. 12 times faster than the sun, they say. And then, of course, it goes back into the regular cycle of the sun with the unseen moon, or the black moon. So I really like that one. Okay, and that takes us back to the beginning. That's everything. Hold on, I'm going to keep you here just to make sure I didn't forget anything. Just a moment. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I remember that I did do this in my research, so I want to go ahead and take a look at it. Hold on. Where is it? Here we are. We'll look this up real quick. Tires like the moon. Oh, hold on. I don't know if I showed you the definition. If I did, sorry, we're going to have to look at it again just so I can make sure we're on the same page here. Hold on. From the same as H5469, a round pendant for the neck, ornament, round tire like the moon. And then I looked this up before. From an unused root meaning to be round, roundness, round. Okay, so let's look at, it's only used 3 times. The Zeba and Zalmunna said, then Zeba and Zalmunna said, rise thou and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength. And Gideon arose and slew Zeba and Zalmunna, and took away the ornaments that were on the camel's neck. And the weight, again, it's around his neck. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, besides the ornaments and collars and purple raiment that was on the king of Midian, and besides the chains that were about the camel's neck. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, their calls, and their round tires like the moon. Each time it's talking about a chain or an ornament or something being about the person's neck. And you don't just have, he took away the round that were on the camel's neck. No, he took away the necklaces that were on the camel's necks. But it's some sort of necklace, of course, because it's repeated here. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, besides the necklaces and collars and the purple raiment that were on the king of Midian. And I hate when I do that. I'm so sorry. Besides the ornaments and collars, or I'm changing it to necklaces and collars, and purple raiment that was on the kings of Midian, and besides the chains that were about the camels' necks. So chains, let's look that up. I didn't look that up when I first did this study, or if I did, it's been a very long time. I don't remember. A necklace as if strangling. So the chain is going to be the what's holding them, the choke. Yeah, like bars and chains. Not a necklace, but something that keeps them under control. But so anyway, I hope you see what I mean here when I say that there is a necklace around the moon, because we didn't go into it into great detail because I studied this so long ago. I'm sorry, I don't really know if I'm telling you everything. But there's so much. There's so much. But even if I didn't tell you everything, I think that we are at a good starting off point, because many of you will be able to go out and observe these things with your own eyes and see if they're true. Of course, you won't be able to see the black moon because it's invisible, but you can test everything else that was said for sure, especially when you consider. One thing you want to consider is that every new moon, the moon is behind the sun, or so they tell us. If you go and you look at the maps and everything, the charts, which I did utilize, then the moon is behind the sun during the new moon. So that's not really a big deal or an uncommon thing like that. It's when they are in close proximity that it seems to cause some sort of reaction, especially when you can see it reflected in either the moon or the black moon or the unseen moon. It would be the unseen moon during the time of an eclipse. All right, I feel like I'm rambling on. I'm going to stop here, and I'll just leave it at that. If there's any corrections or anything, I'll put it in the next video. And I'll see you in the next video.